Hi there, I'm going to talk to you about Browning's The Laboratory. There's a few big issues of the poem that are worth discussing before you think through the stanzas individually. Firstly, it does stand out so much in the collection we study through having a female speaker. So that does make it stand out, and it makes it feel like an even more deliberate, thoughtful choice by the poet. It's also interesting that the title is very focused on place. So if we compare it to, say, Porphyria's Lover and My Last Duchess, there is a shift from the speaker and the relationship to the location. And there we just have to think about what Victorian associations of that noun would be, and it certainly wouldn't be sort of white, clean, tiled cancer research centre that the word might bring to mind today. So I'm picturing, as the speaker describes, a devil's smithy with faint smokes curling whitely. So a laboratory and the idea of science being much more like witchcraft, alchemy, something mysterious and not quite trustworthy. So again, we have a very strong dramatic monologue genre because we have a clear speaker, the would-be murderess. We've got a listener who is the poison maker or the apothecary, and a situation of vengeance being carried out. And all of these things are indicated in that first stanza. You've got the glass mask and the smokes indicating the place, devil's smithy being a very strong biblical metaphor for the location. And then we get to the real plot, which is the poison to poison her prithee. So the plosive alliteration highlights the aggression of it, and the pronoun her is vague personal deixis. We don't know who she is, and she clearly doesn't really matter to the speaker. It is the male lover that becomes the main focus. Stanza 2 gives us more of that situation, lots of pronouns to create a division. He is with her, and they know that I know. And there's a real comment on where this woman, the speaker, might be expected to sit and cry, which is the empty church. Because of the pre-modifier empty, it does lead us to link to Browning's possible atheism and the idea that these murderers in his poetry are driven by a sense that there is no God and therefore no heaven and hell for them to be punished with. You then get this kind of almost irritating monologue where the speaker is clearly talking at the potion maker as they make the poison. Lots of imperative language and kind of contradictions. So, for example, the phrase, I am not in haste, the caesura, the monosyllabics, the exclamation, all give it a very fast pace that shows a quite deluded, contradictory panic in our speaker. You also get this refrain of dance at the king's, so an urgency that they want to be at some kind of royal court to carry out their murder. I don't think it suggests that the man is the king, simply that the world the speaker is used to is very royal and aristocratic. Which takes us back to, I haven't got it printed yet, but the subheading of Ancient Régime is often used under the title The Laboratory to show this idea that it is very much about the corruption of the upper classes and their behaviour. Lots of description of the poisons that make it sound sort of beautiful or delicious. Things such as the personification of a brave tree, the sensual language and the use of kind of jewellery, gold oozings, invisible pleasures, treasures, all very hyperbolized, very dramatic. And then to the listing of the different ways that poison might be used. Now, the associations of poison and earrings, signet, fan mount, it does stress that poison used to be seen as a woman's weapon. Because it doesn't require physical strength, because it's more sneaky, it was stereotypically the woman's way of murdering. Then in the next stanza, Pauline and Elise we don't think are the main intended victim, but it shows that this woman has potential to be a serial killer, that she wants to kill all of these female rivals. So that Browning is perhaps exploring internalized misogyny and the way women might victimize each other as a result of living within a patriarchal system. Quick, again, that sense of urgency and hurrying. But this is where it becomes really sadistic and focused on how much pain she wants to inflict. So she wants it to be hidden. There is description of the rival, the victim, that is a little bit confusing, perhaps. What a drop. She's not little, no minion like me. Now, that could be suggesting the reasons that this rival is so popular, that they perhaps are more curvy or more stereotypically beautiful for the era. Or it could be a sort of sly dig and suggesting that they are a little too large. Because we also have this reference to those masculine eyes. So perhaps she is actually attacking the female rival. And then we get to this real kind of visualizing of the actual death itself. You know, keywords like shriveled, death be felt and proof remain. It's a very visual description of that list of violent verbs: brand, burn, bite, showing the kind of sadism of the speaker in this situation. But the last line of that stanza, I think, really reveals the nature of the speaker's vengeance, because it puts stress on he. He is sure to remember her dying face. Though she wants to kill the woman, it's probably in order to get him back. So given that male pronoun at the start of the line puts the real emphasis on him. And then in the final two stanzas, the poison seems to be complete, and it's clear that a whole fortune has been paid for it. So we don't know a lot about our speaker, but she has money to give. But actually she offers a kiss. You may kiss me, old man, on my mouth if you will, which perhaps presents her as a little bit arrogant, but maybe younger and more sexually attractive. We don't know what the speaker's reaction to it is, but it shows this kind of urgency to get the poison and to go out and carry it. Next moment I dance at the king. So the refrain returns, but next moment makes it much more urgent, much more immediate in terms of its impact. The listener really probably has less impact on us than in something like My Last Duchess, but it does make us complicit in the murder. We are part of the process. We are involved in this sort of evil scheme, and so we are perhaps less likely to morally judge the femme fatale that Browning's created.